Welcome back once again to the Mandalorian After Show. This is Sean,
And this is Chris.
and we are having a very special episode today because I'd forgotten or I didn't even know that Star Wars Celebration was going to be this weekend. Did
Well,
you?
I knew what was happening, but I mean, I watch a lot of things that kind of keep me up with that, so not
Yeah.
too shocked.
But yeah, Star Wars Celebration. There's more than the Mandalorian going on this week, and thank goodness for that because this week's episode of Mando was kind of a stinker.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for it.
Oh no, it was terrible. It's kind of like my camera right now. I don't know what's going on and why I look like garbage, but I matched the episode that we watched.
Yeah.
So hopefully this clears up and fixes for us.
And there was an Ahsoka trailer that I assume you watched already, right?
Oh, I watched that multiple times
Yeah.
because I was trying to catch anything and everything I can catch in it and see how much of it I can enjoy. Uh, Yeah, I mean, right now I'm a little perturbed about how I look, so I'm sorry, guys.
Do you wanna back out and come
I'm
back
gonna
in?
back out real quick, and I'm gonna come
All
right
right.
back in.
I'll hold down the fort. So yeah, Mandalorian not that great this week. Oh, I'm on the other one. Yeah, and besides that, we had I woke up to the news. Chris texted me this morning that Ahsoka trailer, like full trailer, had dropped, which I think everybody's been waiting on really for the last few months. And I think we may get some Skeleton Crew trailer, maybe an Acolyte trailer afterwards. I don't know.
Did I hear Acolyte trailer? That would be
I'm
awesome.
thinking we might get some footage of the Skeleton Crew.
Well, Skeleton
Is
Crew they
another one.
said is in post production, so that's done. That's
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
That's in the works. I don't know if they said when we were going to get it, but it's supposed to be sometime. It'll be sometime soon if it's already in post.
Right, and we've got I mean, this was just the first day of celebration. We've got a couple more days to the weekend, right? So maybe
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
holding.
did they come out like shooting too hard? I mean, did they blow
Oh,
the
yeah, but we saw you
forward?
searching for the metaphor.
I was trying to keep it as clean as I
Keep
could.
it clean.
The metaphor that was coming out of my mind was not a metaphor
Yeah.
that was family friendly.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
What
where do you want
the
to start
rest of
with?
the
Do you want to start with the Ahsoka stuff, or you want to get what we consider the negative thing out of the way? Just talk a little bit of Mando, get that done, and just kind of talk about what we're looking forward to with what's coming out.
Let's do a Mando sandwich. Let's start with the not Acolyte, with Ahsoka trailer, because I want to watch that again with you. Talk about that a little bit. Then we'll talk about the Mando episode. And after that, I think you've got a timeline to share and talk about, right?
Well, the
Just a little
timeline
bit,
can
a few
kind of go
minutes.
along with with the conversations of what they said they're releasing and kind of what's
Okay.
going on.
I say let's do the fun stuff first.
Okay, then let's just jump into some Ahsoka. I mean, I've
right.
got no issue with that.
Let's check out the trailer.
Let's do it.
You got audio?
I'm good.
Something's coming.
Dude, I love the visual here.
Yeah.
Something dark.
Sweet move.
I sense it.
I love the red.
Yeah.
This is a new beginning.
Love
Little cat.
For some,
Hey, these are cool. This whole trailer's cool. These guys, ships chasing each other.
Hera,
Brothers.
Chopper.
Chopper!
power.
Lothal. That's cool right there.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Things have changed. I started hearing whispers.
On Mothma again.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is!
There's
The guy
my
that
man
disrails
right
our
there.
shows all the time.
As heir to the Empire. We have to prepare for
He's
the
holding like
worst.
a broadsword. You see that?
Yeah.
The Jedi fell a long time ago. There aren't many left.
I just had an epiphany.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
it's taken me now watching this at least 3 times, and I just had something hit me because I'm like,
I
okay,
saw that. Looked like he got punched.
Started hearing.
it's like who are my first thought when I first started watching is who are these dark side users? Who are these ones with these red? Because they're not Inquisitors, they're not like Sith Lords. Who are they?
Even the sabers look different. They're more like an orange red. They look different.
Knights of the Ren.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
That's
I
we're
didn't
finally
think about that either.
we're finally gonna. She's sensing them. She's
Yeah.
sensing Kylo Ren. This is before the First Order starts, so that's already in the works. He has his crew with him. I bet you that's exactly who we're seeing. That's using
Because
these
they
lightsabers.
were established before he was around, and he came in and became their leader. But
Yeah.
they were around when he was still a Padawan, and
And-
before that even.
And the way they're using their lightsabers, they're using them like broadswords. So once
Right.
again, knights. The way
Yeah,
they're holding them. Oh man, okay.
I think you're right. Wow, that's cool.
That is because we were always wondering where are they? We never got any of them in the prequel. I mean, not the prequel,
Right.
but the series of movies that everyone doesn't want to talk about. But
Right.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and I like how it looks. It looks big. It doesn't
It does.
look like Disney Plus quality. When Ahsoka's walking in and you have the whole thing, and she pulls that move and drops down into like that cavern, that's awesome.
There's a lot of daylight, which I appreciate. I feel like a lot of these the shows, they kind of use the volume and like cityscape and darkness and like neon lights to kind of hide. I remember even like the first Ahsoka appearance in that episode of
Did we lose
Mandalorian.
Sean? Oh no,
No, I'm still here.
Or did
Can
you
you hear
lose
me?
me?
Oh, I still see you and hear you.
Oh no.
We're having technical difficulties today.
Oh, okay. We're back. Okay. I'm
You
not sure
you
if that
never
was me.
left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was me or you, and I've got issues. This is going to be a crap show, guys. I'm sorry.
What was I saying? Oh, I remember even in the first episode that Ahsoka appeared in, that episode of The Mandalorian, it looked kind of cheap and TV-ish, like surrounded by fog and like, her environment just seemed strange, but nothing like that here. I mean, it looked good.
Yeah. What do you think of Sabine with the longer hair?
Well, it's a weird change, if it's a change at all. Like maybe this just takes place in a time that's a little different than what we think it is. But I don't know. That's everything else in that scene matches far too close to how Rebels ended. That final scene
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
where Sabine was kind of like painted the mural or whatever, and Ahsoka just kind of lands. But Ahsoka's also in her like white getup, which she's not in here at all, really. So maybe it's a different scene altogether. I don't know.
I took it as there's time has passed
Yeah,
because that conversation between Sabine and Ahsoka was it's been a while.
right.
Means they went out and they did what they were going to do right after Rebels ended, but they separated. They kind of went their own ways because I guess they weren't being successful in what they were looking for,
Yeah,
and now they're rejoining back together.
yeah, that could be, and that's how I took it. I mean, that would explain why her hair's grown out so much longer. Because Sabine always had shorter hair in the Rebel series, so maybe that's why. We see Hera Syndulla
Hair's cool, yeah.
for a brief
The hair, you
moment.
see the ghost.
Yeah,
So that's awesome.
you see Chopper for just a second too. He looks great. As a fan of, you know what? If you weren't a fan of Rebels or you didn't watch Rebels, you may not be excited by this. But I watched that whole series. I loved it, and they really touched upon like big Star Wars things in Rebels. Like
Yeah.
as far as just like the Vader Ahsoka thing and the world between worlds with Palpatine, and like there were some big Star Wars ideas in that show. If you missed it,
Yeah. No, there was a lot there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something. It's long enough to give it a bunch of like quality, but short enough that you can sit down and you can actually watch through it if you want to watch through it before this actually comes on.
yeah.
So there's
Oh
plenty
yeah.
of there's plenty of meat on the bone, but plenty of time to get through it. Unlike say
Yeah.
if you wanted to watch the Clone Wars, good luck.
All right. That was always intimidating for me. It was like there's so much Clone Wars. But I watched all of season 7, that final season they put out on Disney Plus. But yeah, Rebels is pretty short. So you guys, if you haven't watched it yet, you should check it out on Disney Plus.
I'm gonna back out again real quick.
Okay. And I don't know if there's much else to talk about. Chris brings up the fact that, well, we don't know if it's fact yet, but these guys may be the Knights of Ren, which would make a lot of sense. And this guy that's walking around with the beard, I think he does have a name, but I don't know. I forget what they called him. But he also has like almost a kingly presence or like some kind of royalty. So Chris might be onto something there.
Wow, there we go. I'm back.
You're
Oh,
back.
I heard you were on. I'm having nothing but issues.
They actually named these characters, the ones with the red orange lightsabers. And I forget their names, but the guy with the white beard, he almost even gives off like a kingly presence, like he's from royalty or something. Just like his stature, and he's wearing like this armor. So that would kind of fit in line with the Knights of Ren. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
be some kind of order.
it hit me like
there.
a broadsword over in the face, dude. It was just one of those. I'm just watching, all of a sudden, just
Yeah.
oh man, it'd be so cool if that's the case. But my one hesitation, well, there's Thrawn, and
Yeah.
I think everyone is thinking that Thrawn's going to be the big bad character in this.
Now I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think he is. What if they're holding under wraps? If it's going to be Kylo Ren, what if they're just not showing it? He's the one she's sensing.
I don't know because that's way too far out the timeline. I think.
Is it that far off?
Yeah, there's a 30-year span. Like, well, just Sabine, for instance. We know Sabine, and she leads the Rebels leads right into A New Hope. And this is, Mandalorian is, post Return of the Jedi, but still like 25 years from The Force Awakens.
Okay,
So
yeah.
so that's a bit of time there.
The
So,
age line, timeline wouldn't add up because he would
but
still
Knights
be
of
really
Ren,
young.
we could see the guy that Kylo or Ben Solo actually dethrones from the leadership. I don't know. Maybe we see him as the leader of the Knights of Ren. But I'm convinced. I think it definitely is the Knights of Ren.
In some manner,
Yeah.
they're just dark side wielders. They may
Right.
not be, Sith or anything else. They're kind of like the sisters on Dathomir. They're just dark
Right.
side wielders.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see what that power vacuum looks like. I mean, we kind of saw it with the First Order and the Empire, and the different gangs and gangsters that take and fill those holes of power once the Empire vacated. But even just on the perspective of dark side Force users, like with the Sith gone, like who else out there comes in and
Yeah,
fills that
because I mean, we
empty
have
spot?
right in this show itself, we're gonna have Ahsoka, who is a light side, user, but she's
Yeah,
not a Jedi.
right.
So there's no really classification to put her in either. So we're gonna have Force users in this show that are wielding lightsabers that don't fall into the cookie cutter mold that Star Wars has made up to this point.
Do you think we will see Ahsoka have not really a change of heart, but see this as an opportunity to maybe re-embrace not the old order of the Jedi, but see this is a new time frame. We know from Book of Boba Fett, she knows Luke Skywalker. She knows he's out there trying to
Mhm.
rebuild this thing or build it in a new way. Do you think she calls herself a Jedi again, or
No,
she's done with that completely?
at this time point, no. I don't think she's gonna go ahead and bring that moniker back because she never completed anything. They never really get into the lifespan of her people, like how long they live.
Right.
And the only reason I bring that up, is I'm jumping ahead a little bit here to a conversation we're going to have a little later.
Yeah.
But there was news that they're making another movie, and it's going to be considered in the new Jedi Order, and they're basically rebuilding the Jedi Order.
Yeah, like 15 years
It's going to be
post
15 years post the
episode
last guy.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think she would still be alive, much older, a much more wise, and be able to assist whoever is actually going to be rebuilding it?
First blush, I don't think so because I know that Ashley Eccleston or whoever played her or voiced her in the Clone
Yeah.
Wars was one of those ghostly voices at the end that told Rey to like, we're here with you or whatever. And that would imply that Ahsoka's dead by that point. But, they could just, they don't have to stick with that if they don't want to. Um, Yeah, well, you're mentioning this, and I had my own thoughts about that. Do we want to talk a little bit about some of these other things besides Ahsoka?
Yeah, let's
Um,
just remember, I love the Ahsoka trailer. I loved everything about
yeah,
it.
I loved it too.
Who we didn't see, excuse me, is Zeb, but we've already seen him, so we know he's going to be there.
Oh yeah,
Um, Thrawn's going to be there, but I don't think like even though they mentioned the book Heir to the Empire, I don't think he's the big bad in this season. I think he's going to have his own role to play.
yeah.
It's a bait and switch in this season with Thrawn.
You save him for the movie, for Dave Filoni's
Yep,
movie,
because
right?
they even came out and said, I mean, we're kind of just
We're all
transitioning
around
right
here,
into it.
yeah.
But they even came out and said that Filoni is going to go ahead and make a movie, direct a movie, which is going to wrap up all these Disney Plus TV shows into one movie. Like
Yeah.
Mandalorian, all even though he came out just a few weeks ago and said Mandalorian won't be a movie, man, it's going to be a movie event.
Right.
I don't want to say a CW crossover, but that's
Is that
going
what
to
it
paint it in a
feels
very
like?
bad light.
Yeah.
But it's going to be something like that. Now I can see Thrawn being the ultimate villain in that.
Yeah. That's what I always kind of envisioned because I knew Ahsoka was coming down the line, and I knew they've already like done the crossover thing between Book of Boba, and I was like, oh, so they're not really keeping these things separate, like they're kind of intermingling. And when Ahsoka came into Mandalorian, it seems like they love that these different shows kind of share this timeline. I'm curious if Skeleton Crew, and I know Acolyte takes place way before even the Phantom Menace. But I'm curious when the Skeleton Crew takes place. It might be in the same kind of timeline, so that might even be a part of it too. But I think, Thrawn is Endgame, and they were saving the big battle against Thrawn for the big screen, which I'm all for. Let's make that epic.
I've got to tamper down my expectations of Thrawn because
Yeah.
I know they're not going to go ahead and give him the respect that Timothy Zahn has given him in the books. They have
Right.
already pulled back from that within
Yeah.
Rebels. Because Thrawn himself, and this is dangerous. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Thrawn is a military genius. He wouldn't have been beaten in Rebels. It just wouldn't have happened. Based on all the novels and the whole backstory that Timothy Zahn's put in there, he wouldn't have been beaten. He'll be beaten every single day politically. He is a political idiot. But when military mind, he thinks 6, 7, 8 steps ahead of you. You won't be beaten by no space whale. I'll put it that way. And the fact that they already has, it's like, okay, I don't want to see them kill him. I don't want them to pull that role. I want him to somehow escape back to the ascendancy.
Right. See, the Purgle is something that's the space whales are something that were introduced in Rebels, and when they were introduced, it was like this thing out of left field, which I could actually buy that in the moment that Thrawn, why didn't Thrawn think that these space whales were going to be like disrupting their whole thing? Well, maybe they weren't around or they were not a known thing, known quantity, you know what I mean? So I bought that because we as viewers didn't know about the Purgle. But then we saw them kind of do a short cameo, and Grogu looks at them during hyperspace travel. So I don't know. And you're right. I think if Timothy Zahn had his way, and if people like you who adore Thrawn had their way, Thrawn would just be he would just rule, and it would be his galaxy.
Well, I
And
would love to have
I don't think there's
seen
anybody that can defeat him.
there been a split like between the Emperor and Thrawn. Because them going at it militarily would have been great. But the political part of it would have been a mess because, like I said, Thrawn has no political thing. But then again, he had so much power. He went toe to toe with Vader, knowing Vader won't touch him.
Right.
So it's like he's that level of awesome that if no one dives into the books, no one truly knows. And it's I don't know. The one thing about the Purgle that I didn't like is because within his own people, there are children that can actually navigate through hyperspace.
Yeah.
So the fact that there are like animals that can do it as well, it doesn't.
Yeah, they have to
surprise
be
me.
a known quantity, right? They have to be just something that hasn't been brought up in Star Wars yet, but something that the people in Star Wars know about, right? I would assume.
Yeah. I'm gonna do this for us. I'm gonna pump our brakes on Thrawn.
Okay.
Because I can go for another 20 minutes just kind of talking about what I love about Thrawn. But we had a massive character come back, and it shocked a lot of people. We're having Daisy Ridley coming back to play Rey.
Oh, yeah.
Did that surprise you?
Yes. Yes, on both fronts, because I wasn't sure that Star Wars would have that trio or those characters back. And at the same time, I wasn't sure that Daisy Ridley would even want to come back because I don't
Well,
think her experience was like
well, I
that
think
great.
she's made comments saying if they would have her back, she would come back. I think I've
Mm,
seen things periodically on her Twitter
hmm
saying that she just that would be something she would explore. Now, the rest of the characters, like Boyega, I don't foresee him ever coming back to because how
No,
badly he
no.
was treated. But then again, if we seen him best come back, there is always an avenue. You know what I mean? But that was
Yeah, I think John Boyega really kind of was pretty vocal about how dissatisfied he was from the production and the writing and pretty much the whole thing. All the stuff that the general
that
public
went
kind of complains
sideways. Yeah,
about. Yeah, he didn't hold back really. He wasn't playing that politically like Palpatine would. He was burning bridges, but and understandably, like I feel his pain. I think those characters. I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy.
I haven't
Um,
watched it since. Like after going through the whole the trailer today, Star Wars Celebration. I'm actually going to probably sit down and watch them. I want to watch them again because I haven't seen them since the last one came out, and I
yeah,
haven't revisited that one since I've seen it in the theater.
right.
So it's like, okay, I know how I am with them. If I don't like them, I need them to bake. I need to
Yeah,
remove myself, remove the emotion that was like the excitement I had going into them. Because all of us fans, no matter what your fandom is, you're gonna make that movie be more than it can ever live up to.
yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times, that's usually the case. So I don't know if it was my expectation or if it was just a flaming turd. Uh, I'm gonna find out soon
Yeah.
and see what I really think of them.
My biggest problem with them was that they were just disjointed as far as like they didn't feel like a cohesive story from one movie to the next. It kind of felt like different people, different writers were coming in and just kind of giving their take with each one, and they didn't have a plan, like a game plan going in before making three movies. But here's what I want and kind of need from a series like this, a new Jedi Order. It's the kind of series that I would have always loved to see post Return of the Jedi, except with Luke being the one to, create the new order. Since the prequels, it's been this like understanding that hasn't really been said out loud in Star Wars itself, but the fans feel this way. Like the Jedi, around Clone Wars era and leading up to Revenge of the Sith, they done effed up.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They were not they couldn't see the forest through the trees. They had their heads so far up their butts. And if they were just a little bit more empathetic and compassionate towards one of their own, Anakin Skywalker, maybe we wouldn't have a Darth Vader and an Empire and an Emperor. And
Hmm.
like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they were just so blind. And what clinched it for me, and I remember sitting in the theater watching Revenge of the Sith and listening to Yoda when basically he's telling Anakin, don't feel bad for the people that die. They're just joining the Force and then blah, blah, blah. Right. And, coming from a being that's 900 years old and has,
Yeah.
has seen people like come and go in his life, I get maybe he would be stoic about that. But deep down in my heart, I was like, no, like life is precious and
For
you've
us,
got
life
to,
is short.
and for us, life is short and you got to fight for it, and
Yeah.
I understand like in Star Wars, there's life after life with the ghosts, Force ghosts and stuff. But it struck me that way, and in that moment, you could sympathize with Anakin, like, just being like, you don't condone the fact that he kills younglings and he turns so
I
far to
was
the
gonna
dark
say, okay,
side.
how far are we gonna sympathize? When we're walking into the Jedi
Well, I
Temple.
mean, he goes too far. I mean, right,
Yeah.
Anakin goes way too far.
Well, yeah,
That's
you see it happening when he starts cutting down the Tusken Raiders, and you see,
yeah.
yeah, it just kind of goes from there.
But you can understand where his point of view lies. Like, it's not totally out of the blue. You can see how frustrated he is.
If the council treated him more like Qui-Gon was treating him, or Obi-Wan was kind of treating him,
Yeah.
it'd been a different story. The council was the one that basically turned their back on him, which turned Anakin into Vader.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring this up is because Star Wars itself has never addressed this, right? We see Luke, and Luke just wants to recreate the Jedi Order, basically. And this is what we kind of get a taste of it in The Last Jedi. Like, he's so beholden to the old ways, to the books. And Yoda comes back as a Force ghost, and he's like, she doesn't need those books. She already has everything that she needs. I think with time or maybe watching events play out, Yoda has a new understanding and perspective as far as how the Jedi effed up during that period. I'm hoping at least. but I need to hear it from Yoda. And what I'm saying is that, like, if we do a new series where Daisy Ridley is training a new Jedi, I don't want another repeat of her beholden to these old books and these old ways and reestablishing the Jedi have to be a new thing.
My
Um,
problem with her rebuilding the Jedi Order is who is she to be rebuilding the Jedi Order? She's not even. I mean, I would say she's a Padawan at best.
yeah, yeah, but
Because
here's
she's
the
just
thing.
missing the braid.
That swings both ways, right? I mean, who do you want? If the Jedi were so bad, do you want
That's
Obi-Wan
true. You
Kenobi
have a
training
fresh.
new Jedi?
Yeah,
You
you have
need
a
fresh
fresh.
eyes. You need a
Yeah,
fresh take on this thing. And just like Yoda said, she has everything that she needs. What I'm saying is I want Force Ghost Yoda to come back. And I think I don't know how people would take to that, but like,
she's gonna
we
need
can't
guidance.
she's gonna need some kind of guidance. We're not and she needs somebody that um, I don't want Mark Hamill to be, Force Ghost Luke again. I don't want them to CG Leia or anything like that, even though that's who Ray had the relationship with. In my head, I'm like, those characters need to be at peace. And you can kind of justify Yoda still being around because Yoda had such a long lifespan during the living corporeal form
Yeah,
that maybe his lifespan as a Force Ghost would be a bit longer than the other Jedi too, or his connection to the Force was so much
I
stronger.
was gonna say, what if there was like a Qui-Gon Jinn type, not even so much a Force ghost, but like she would hear him from time, not knowing what she's hearing or who she's hearing,
Yeah,
but she's kind of being guided by something that's beyond her in the Force
yeah.
that she doesn't know or quite comprehend yet.
Or even just like during a meditation, you could do anything where she sits and meditates and gets transported to a world where they have just like a face to face talk. And it doesn't even have to be a force ghost. You're right.
Yeah, and I think,
Um,
and I'm getting my timelines messed up because so I'm thinking Ezra now, but Ezra may be 15 years beyond. Yeah, I'm just trying to connect dots.
well, the Rebels cast may still be around. They'd just be a lot older. That's all.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's gonna be he would be a lot. He'll be a older than
Ezra
even
would be
Kanan
like in his late
was.
40s or something,
Yeah,
or into his 50s, which you could do,
yeah. I
but
mean, yeah, he could kind of be there to assist in whatever
mhm.
manner he could. Uh, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. And is Canon and Sabine, not Sabine, Hera's son, is he going to be a force sensitive? Is he force
Oh,
sensitive?
right, right. And we don't even see him in
No,
this.
we
You
don't even
think?
see him in
Do you
this.
think we'll
Last time
see
we
him
see
in
him was
Ahsoka? I
they
feel like we
can't do it
see
without him.
Hera.
They can't.
Yeah,
They can't give us that because he's a part of the crew now. He was the
yeah,
co-pilot at the end of Rebels,
right. I feel
so
like you have to.
you have to give us something from him.
So that's all that I want. If we're gonna do a new story, I think it would be the perfect touch of just to bring Yoda back from time to time to just be this guiding light, but a new Yoda, the Yoda that we saw in the Last Jedi, that's not beholden to the old ways.
Yeah,
That's the Yoda that I want to see help Rey build this new order from time to time, just as a link. You know what I mean? Just to link the old stuff to the new stuff. That's what I would love to see. And either way, I'm more excited about this, the perspective, like the possibilities of this new show than I thought I would be. Going
you know it's a
into it.
movie, right? It's not a
Oh yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah, movie.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
meant.
yeah. It's not a Disney Plus show. From it, I thought you were thinking it was Disney Plus. Yeah, no, they're going full, full hog in. I think they said it's gonna be a
Yeah,
3 movie set, so we're getting another
yeah, new
trilogy out of
trilogy.
it.
Yeah, and I think they were saying that it was going to be the one that J.J. Abrams walked away from. So look, and we're deep diving into this, but honestly, like 3 months from now, we may not hear anything,
Yeah,
and
it's a bunch
like,
of ifs. I mean, right now, I was surprised that they were letting Kathleen Kennedy announce anything
hmm
because rumor has it once Indy comes out a couple months after that, she's out the door with him.
right, she gone.
So I'm
Yeah,
shocked that they gave her the freedom to announce everything, which I guess it is Star Wars Celebration.
yeah, they need
You
something,
have to have something to celebrate. You
right?
can't be celebrating another year without any movie projects in the works.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of celebrations, do you want to celebrate this new episode of The Mandalorian? Is- Let's talk about it.
Oh wow, this gonna be the most lackluster celebration I've ever had. But no, let's just go into. We're just gonna play the clip
Yeah,
and we're gonna run with it, and then we'll run back to the fun stuff.
yeah.
While exploring Mandalore, I was captured, and this blade was taken from me. Bo-Katan rescued me and slayed my captor. She defeated the enemy that defeated me. would this blade then not belong to her?
I guess.
Dude, yeah, we were talking about this before we actually even got started. If we go by that logic, the logic that Din Djarin goes ahead and gives us there, the blade that he was holding didn't even belong to him anymore. It belonged to our friendly little green fella, Grogu.
Yeah.
Because if there was one thing that's happened consistently, is Din gets his ass kicked all the time.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
he lost the blade in Boba Fett. Grogu went ahead and defeated the monster that defeated him. So would that blade not have fallen to him? And that blade belongs to him at this point. So Din giving the blade to Bo-Katan in this instance, because he was defeated again, wasn't even his blade to give.
This would have been a lot cleaner if Bo and Din actually fought, man.
Just have a fight. It doesn't have to be a fight to the death. Just
Yeah.
a combat situation.
Right.
Someone just has to, submit at the end of it.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. This whole season, episode to episode, I'm just like, okay, well, that's not where I would have gone, but okay, well, that was unexpected. It seems like we're kind of treading water here a bit, and every episode it just gets worse and worse to the point wwhere this episode we get a whole damn Scooby Doo mystery with Jack Black and Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, all the like Christopher. I was like, why? I seen Jack Black and I was like, what?
What?
Well, first thing is when I went ahead and turned, I was like, oh, 45-minute runtime.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, we got a good runtime. We're going back to Mandalore.
Yeah,
that's where they ended that last week's episode. It's like, finally, we're getting something that is going to drive the story. No, we go to a droid bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it
was rough, man. And look, the whole episode should have been Bo winning back her old crew. Mm-hmm. And like, that's what I expect. I expected, okay, because that's how we left last episode. Bo and Din are going to search the galaxy and bring the other Mandalorians back to, that tribe, that clan. And this is where we're starting off. And what better group of Mandalorians to start with than her old crew? So let's go and find them. And that should have been like a longer battle. It should have been any number of things where the Mandalorians themselves took center stage in the whole episode. Yeah. And by the end of it, have some believable writing to where Bo is the new leader and she convinces them to come back and join the other crew.
Yeah. I didn't mind the battle. When she was fighting that other guy, because I mean, it pretty much showed that she was, better than him in spades.
Yeah.
So at that point, I didn't mind that.
I just minded that it was that whole arc took a matter of like 5 minutes, and the rest of the episode was just like whatever.
Yeah, we had Din Djarin kicking over battle droids, seeing if one will flip out. They never gave us any indication that one of these battle droids can break into a sprinter's run.
I know. Attack of the Clones. They were.
Yeah, I mean, this dude broke out in a Usain Bolt type run. He was gone.
Was sprinting. Yeah, he was gone. He's just chalk it up to some upgrades between then and now, I guess. But
upgrades. This is no upgrade.
Look, I think what we need is a story.
I was looking for.
We need a story that takes place between the prequels and now that explains how the battle droids can run. Versus just stumble around like they used to.
But this whole, I mean, I appreciate going to a new planet. I appreciate all that because we don't see new planets very often. So seeing that was cool. But I didn't need the Jack Black, the Lizzo. I didn't need any of that. I didn't need to know that he was another one of those ex-Imperials that went through and, reprogrammed all these droids. I didn't need, Christopher Lloyd's character putting all these nano droids in these bots through their liquid coolant, whatever they want to call it, bath that they do to make them go haywire. I mean, and then there really be no punishment for him that did it. All we know is he'll do it again. They escort him away. Oh, he's going to a moon to live out the rest of his life or whatever in banishment.
Yeah.
This was the first episode. I stopped the episode with 20 minutes left, went back to work, and then after my shift was over, I went and finished it. Most times that's not the case.
So you even took a break in between watching it. Yeah, you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, that was even before we even got. I mean, I think I stopped when we were at the bar.
Yeah,
and they, then basically breaks out that like prod and was going to go ahead and start frying this droid.
Which that's another thing. Like I thought he made some headway as far as his distrust for droids, but was it only IG-11 or that he trusted
Well,
and no
that
other
could have
droid?
been re-sparked with that one that was given to him that was kind of spying on him.
Yeah, but they also didn't really make a big deal out of that. I don't know. I mean, if anything, that was Pelly's fault.
Yeah,
You
cool.
So yeah, I don't know. The whole episode just head scratching, man. And it's like an episode like this is okay when you have like a 24 episode
Mm.
season. You're gonna have stinkers and fillers every now and then. It's just the way it is. But when you only have 8 episodes and you have sometimes a year and a half between seasons and people are like waiting for the new season of Mandalorian
Yeah.
and you only get 8 episodes and one of the 8 episodes is an episode like this, it just feels rotten.
Well, it harkens back to the spider episode last year
Yeah.
when people were like, What did we just watch?" I
Mhm.
feel like sometimes the Mandalorian's a monster movie. We get a lot of monsters in the show, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. And it really it focuses on who is the Mandalorian? What is this show's real namesake? Who is this show's namesake? Is
Yeah.
it Din? Is it Grogu? Is it Bo? Is it someone else that we haven't met yet? And why are we trying to retake Mandalore when Mandalore has been saying that no one can live on it? Who is occupying Mandalore? Why is it such a big deal?
And honestly, if we're talking about who is the Mandalorian, if we talk about Din Djarin for a moment, I think the first episode, it was a cool introduction, getting to know this character, getting to see him take on new responsibilities as far as being a protector and not just a bounty hunter, right? Just like cool things as far as like showing his face here and there and doing what needed to be done, kind of stretching himself outside his creed to get the job done. You know what I mean? Like there were interesting little personal nuggets that we were getting, especially through that first season. Second season, it was more mission based. It was all about getting Grogu to his people, but he was a
Mhm.
man on a quest, and we could follow him. Like when you have a man that you understand, you don't need it to be that complicated. He's on a quest, and we're following along on
Yeah.
that quest. This episode, we don't have any characterization. We don't have any quest. We don't know. We're just like spinning around in the season, not knowing what the heck we're
We have
doing.
2 episodes left, and we have no idea what the hell we're doing.
Well, yeah. What was the point of the season? You could have told the story of the season over, I don't know, just a couple episodes. Yeah, just I don't want to go like Chris and I are rarely negative, especially when it comes to Star Wars stuff.
I put a tweet. Me and him were talking before we even go. I suggested punting on the season for the
Yeah,
show because I hate being negative and feeding into that negativity and with the internet with Star Wars because our fandom already has such a bad
yeah,
reputation about it already. So the
right.
fact that we don't like something, we don't want anyone not to like it because we don't like it. So there's plenty of people out there that still love this season, even though it's kind of all over the place for us.
Or even love this episode. They're like,
Yeah.
oh
Oh, well,
yeah,
we
heck
have
yeah,
one of our friends, Jimmy. He messaged. We have a little chat where we go back and forth with. And he was like, I think he said he enjoyed it, and then when we said we didn't, he was like, "What?" He
yeah,
was shocked.
yeah.
So I mean, we even have someone in our friend group that loves it that we're just not feeling it. So I don't know if there's probably a hard split on who's enjoying it and who's not. And I guess we just got to kind of go with it. And I don't know if it's once again due to expectations. We came
Yeah.
into this season with expectations so high, knowing what happened with Luke. We knew that Grogu was back. We kind of knew the direction it was going, and we never truly got that direction yet.
I know it's tough. This season almost started out on a bad foot with the whole Grogu and getting him back at the Book of Boba Fett thing. It was just like, it kind of had an awkward step to begin with, and it hasn't recovered since then,
No.
honestly. We have some cool things. There are cool moments. The Mythosaur and the stuff with Bo is pretty cool. Like, we've had a lot of Bo-Katan, and I like that because I like her
Yeah.
character and I like the actress. But as far as a whole, so far, we're 6 out of 8 episodes, and not great.
No. Well, hopefully, I mean, honestly, the season's beyond reproach for me. But I hope they land it. I hope they give me some hope for season 4, which is kind of in question right now because I heard a few other people talking about this. If they're going ahead and they're making a movie that wraps up all this, are they going to be working on that now? Or are they scrapping season 4 and turning the season 4 and all these other ones into a show or movie?
I could see that happening for sure. Yeah.
So they'll be punting on the remaining episodes. of The Mandalorian or the season of The Mandalorian.
And what does that mean for the character of Grogu? Because I feel like this whole time I felt like Grogu is an important character. So what does that mean? And because the fact that he was introduced as this youngling, this baby
Yeah.
character, like when you introduce a kid or a baby, you expect that down the line when that kid comes of age and is older to make his own choices and whatnot, that will be an exciting story or something that to focus on. But it's like there's so many questions around that. Is like, is Grogu going to be a character in the Daisy Ridley New Order movie? You know what I mean? Is Grogu?
Oh, he's not going anywhere. He's coming back in some manner.
Yeah,
Disney and Star Wars isn't going to let this character go.
Right. I would hope so. And maybe the finale, whatever this movie is going to be by Dave Filoni, it's the end of the arc between Din and Grogu. And we see, Grogu move on to other things or something. Or maybe that's what you called that Din is going to die soon. So maybe that's where it happens.
I mean, that could very well be what it is.
Yeah.
But now the Darksaber has fallen to the bow. So it's right now that's kind of out of
Literally just handed to her. Literally just handed to her. This whole time, Bo's like, no, I can't just take it. I have to win it. Like, I can't just take it from you. And then what do we see? Din Djarin just hands it over to her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on. Next episode. Yeah. We got 2 episodes left. Maybe we'll see some cool stuff. I don't know.
We got to see the Mythosaur again, don't we? They can't give us that.
No.
They can't give us this dude. And not give us anything more.
I know. Well, maybe they'll introduce a new character and we'll get this dude.
Huh? Back there munching on some cats.
Yeah.
Sorry, Siri.
Siri did not like that joke.
Nope.
I don't know. So, okay, we covered a lot of stuff and a lot of news that came out today during Star Wars Celebration. We crapped on a pretty stinky episode of The Mandalorian.
Well, there's one more thing in the Star Wars Celebration we didn't touch on, though. I'm kind of curious of your thoughts on.
Okay.
What about going backwards 25,000 years to the dawn of the Jedi?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because the way that they went ahead and they packaged it, they said it's going to be a biblical type event.
Mm-hmm.
Are we treading too closely to biblical? Will they go ahead and will they alienate people if they get too close to what, say, the Bible says or the Quran, or you pick your book?
Well, I don't know if they mean biblical event like that, but maybe just an event that has the kind of importance that, say, the Bible does, because like we hold the Bible so beholden as far as like stories of not necessarily beginning times, but kind of, you know what I mean, like creationism and like so it's like I think that's how I take that is that going back to see how the Jedi began. I think that's an important story. I think and immediately when Disney bought Star Wars, in my head I'm like, what kind of Star Wars stories do you even tell? Like, and when I knew that they were eventually going to move outside of kind of the Skywalker saga and this era of Star Wars, I immediately start like, well, then let's go back to the way beginning. You talk about prequels. Let's go way back to see who was the first Jedi? What does that look like?
Yeah.
So that's kind of very exciting for me. Yeah.
I kind of want to see, because if they do that at the same time, there's got to be someone figuring out the dark side as well, because the light and dark it's a yin and yang.
Yeah.
So if they're going to do that and they actually work within the dawn of the Jedi, because they gave us a whole timeline now of kind of like where everything falls with all the different symbols.
Yeah.
Will we see the dark side users? Everyone says Sith, but we're just going to use dark side users at their peak at some point when they're all over the place, and it's before we see like Raven.
Yeah.
Could that be a way that they can introduce that character into lore?
Yeah, it's a way when you going back to legendary stories, you can see. I mean, we're talking Mandalorians here. You could see that first, I forget his name, but the first Jedi Mandalorian that had the that created the Darksaber. We could go back and see how that looked. And kind of like an Excalibur thing. And I hope, as far as just like the design and stuff, if you're going to go back thousands of years and see how people lived and stuff, I know it's still like Star Wars and it takes place in space, but like show like civilizations early on, as far as like make it feel more like a fantasy, or like Jedi are kind of like wizards as it is, you know what I mean? But that everything has this like high technological
That was
sheen with
pre like
lasers and
hyperspace and everything.
yeah,
When they
like
were on a planet, they were on a planet. Space
right.
travel wasn't as easily obtained like it is now.
Yeah, or maybe instead of having the whole galaxy mapped out, maybe it's just like a corner of the galaxy. Maybe it's just like a portion of the outer rim where there's just a couple worlds that talk to each other. There's just starting to like branch out. Like make it feel like it takes place way before what we know.
I just had a thought. What if we seen the birth of Coruscant? Like we actually
Yeah.
see the crust and the
Oh, that would
planet
be
of
good.
Coruscant, and we see the
Yeah.
beginning buildings of the temples, because we know the temple has been both Sith and Jedi many
Right.
times over.
See, something like that. Yeah, I want to see history. You know what I mean? Like, show me Coruscant without a giant city on it, because we got a tease of that with seeing the very tip top of a mountain, just
Yeah.
poking through the cityscape. How cool would it be for people that have seen that to be like, oh, this is Coruscant?
Or
Like,
there's the mountain we're speaking of in Andor,
right.
or
Yeah.
in Mandalorian, I should say.
Yeah, that would be cool. So yeah, I hope they do some fun stuff with it like that. Like make it feel like not just a prequel where it takes place, 20 years before what we know. It's going to take place thousands of years before. So
But
let's let
here's a
it feel
question
like
for you
that.
as well. If we see Coruscant, does that fall into the same argument as we have the chance to make this world so much larger,
Yeah.
but yet we still visit the planets that we know. We Tatooine, Coruscant, Naboo, you name the planet.
Well, I mean, you mentioned how like we don't see new planets that often. I kind of disagree. Now that we've had these Disney Plus shows, I mean, the Mandalorian is on a different planet almost every episode, and we've seen new planets be introduced in like with Jeddah and stuff in the sequel trilogy and the Rogue One and stuff. I think we've actually seen quite a bit of new planet. I think you could have a mix. And honestly, hey, Tatooine, I would be happy to go back to Tatooine and the the lush
Oh, back
planet
when
that
it
it was.
was a water planet?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
that
let's
would be
see
I didn't
Tatooine
even
before it
think
was a
of that.
desert.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of cool
Let's see
stuff
actually
because
see the Dune Seas.
yeah, just stuff that we've kind of know about being like in Star Wars lore. Let's like see it, in the flesh. That would be kind of
I don't
cool.
think I would need to see that so much like as a story point, but if they did an opening and they showed the planets like within the
Right,
opening of the ones that we knew, that would give us that like that member feel, berries feel, just
member
makes us
berries.
feel
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
that you see and it says the name so you can identify, oh, that's what it looked like with the water on it. Or
yeah.
Coruscant without all the buildings on it. All you see is a single temple on the
Or maybe
planet.
we visit a planet and it's just a planet full of Yoda species and they're just like living like any other species and there's just like they're plentiful and
Like they
like
go by like Kashyyyk and we see all the Wookiees, but they go by that planet. They don't say what the planet is or anything or where it
yeah,
resides. We just
yeah.
see the planet.
Yeah, and then you start thinking like, well, why the heck don't we see him in the current timeline or whatever? Like, yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do with a story that takes place so far back. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, they're not they're not forced to be connected to anything that has already happened.
Right.
There's so
Yeah.
many it's basic completely starting fresh. It's
Yeah.
New Hope essentially for Disney.
Right, and I think that's something that they wanted to from the jump, from the get-go, and they would have done a lot earlier, but they've had success just trying to, like, squeezing the, member berries, like you
Yeah,
said.
because they
Add
know it's a billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah.
Even this the prequel, not prequel, whatever the movies are, the terrible ones,
Yeah.
they still
Sequel
make
trilogy.
billions of dollars in movies. People
Yeah.
went and seen them. They are still a cash cow. So even bad ones, even the Solo story, which I think was the first one that was considered a flop, still made more money than Shazam, Black Adam.
Yeah.
You name some of these other movies, they still make more money. So they know they have a fan base. They know they have a very fragile fan base that gets their feelings
Yeah.
hurt really easily.
In all kinds of ways, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what the overall response is to Daisy Ridley coming back. The new set of movies only going to be 15 years in the future from what we already know. That I'm really curious to see how that pans out. That's where a lot of my curiosity sets.
Yeah, I'm totally happy with the announcements that they did make, as far as, Dave Filoni helming an actual movie, that sounds cool to me, he's earned his stripes here and there. coming from animation and then doing the Mandalorian and stuff. Like, I think it's time, especially if it's a movie surrounding the characters that he's helped,
Oh,
build
and he's done all
and
his
bring up.
homework though. I mean, he's done all
Yeah.
his stuff. He's done his internship. He knows Lucas, Lucas. He knows everyone that's been in. He knows Star Wars better than anybody. Even
Yeah.
Lucas himself. I think he knows Star Wars better.
Oh, sure. As far as just like what's been added to the Disney, timeline. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think George is paying much attention these days. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, there's that. And then there's, like, we already talked about the Daisy Ridley thing, which I'm actually more excited than I thought I would be for. And then going way, way back to the Dawn of the Jedi in a movie like that. We've already talked about like how cool the potential there. That's not beholden to anything else that we've seen
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Before the rule of 2. I want to see before the rule of 2.
Before the Sith. Yeah, man, it's gonna be. We'll see. Potentially, it may just be another.
Here we go. We're pumping this up really high, and we're getting
In
our
our heads.
expectations up there. And we're building these things in our head.
Yeah.
And it may not live up to it, and it may live up to it. I don't see. I want them to go gritty in some aspects. That's why I liked Andor. Andor had a grit to it. There was no shine. There was none of that. It was just, he would have walked away and stole the ship and the money, and he could have just left everyone hanging. There was that type of grit to that show, and I think that's why the people that did watch it really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
but those people that it just didn't have the lightsabers, it didn't have the Star Wars, flashiness that people
barely had any aliens in it.
Yeah, so but that was true about the whole Empire. The Empire did not have aliens in it. And here, dude, we're going full circle. We're going to end it on this. And that's exactly why the Empire did not like Thrawn and his ascension within the Empire, because he was an alien.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, guys, we're Dadnarok. We're typically not negative about Star Wars. Mandalorian's kind of hurting our feelings a little bit, but the rest of it's actually, making us feel pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you like what you hear, you like what you're watching, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join our community. I mean, we do this here. We do reactions to like movie trailers, TV trailers, all that good stuff that comes out. We're also doing Ted Lasso. We do Ted Lasso every Wednesday night at 8:30. We love that show. If you want to hear someone gush about a show, join us over there, because I'm already writing the next season. There's not even going to be a next season.
Season that doesn't exist. Only in your head. But yeah, we're here every week, and right now we're doing shows every Wednesday and Friday night. So be sure to join us and like and subscribe to the page if you haven't already.
How should we end this one? I want to. This isn't the way. This isn't the way.
I don't know. On a big Star Wars day, maybe just may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you. I like it.